Before going forward with my sharing, I want to share something more personal. It was very, very difficult for me to do this, to share something about this ring and in English. And I was asking myself, why it is so difficult? Why something inside is so afraid of speaking in front of you in English language? I know I don't speak perfect this language, but anyway, there is a huge fear that is coming up. Like, I don't know if something is not perfect from what I say, or the way you perceive what I say, like somebody will cut my head, or something very painful will happen to me, like, I don't know, I will be humiliated or something. And maybe in my blood and in my cells, there are memories from the past when I was punished for my wisdom, for my knowledge. Something, I don't know, painful was done to me or to somebody in my family, and something came through my gene pool in my blood. I don't know from where this is coming up, but I wanted to share this in the beginning and to ask you to be patient with me and my emotions, because I don't have this kind of problem if I'm sharing something in my language. But when there is a possibility to speak in English, something is happening inside my body, and I feel blocked somehow. But anyway, I decided to do this in this way, in this spoken way. I could have written something and share it with you as a document, but something inside myself, because my soul key is gene key 26, which is connected with gene key 44. And it is part of the channel of transmission. So my soul wants me to share with you this information this way, because I don't know, maybe it's something behind the words, maybe it's something like you'll get it in a different way from my personal sharing, or I don't know. So this is the beginning. While contemplating this ring of the Illuminati, the first insight that came was connected with the cells, like this ring is connected with a kind of a revolution inside the body, inside the cells of the body. Like now, the cells are obeying a kind of program. They know what to do, they know how to act, they know how to react, because they were taught this way. Something was passed on them on our birth or on our conception. And the memories of the past, the memories of our ancestors, were being passed to us at our birth. And we don't know what happened in the past exactly how it happened. And we don't know how we live our life the way we live it and why some things happen the way they happen. We believe we live our own life, but maybe we live things not solved from the past. Some patterns come again and again, looking for a resolution. And if we are not aware enough, we live lives that are not ours. Coming back to this ring, I remember, and actually, I don't know how I remember and how I made this connection, but somehow something inside pointed me to a file Richard Rudd shared some time ago, some years ago, and this file is called The 7 Years on the Wheel. And he's sharing very interesting information in this file. I will share something with you. So in this document, he is talking about the gene key 50 and the channel of preservation. Gene key 50, he called it the guardian or the enforcer, and gene key 27, the mother or the father. And he's saying two of the most profound gates in the body graph are the 50 gate and the 6 gate. They are deeply complex gates as they distill and filter so many different waves and frequencies from the spleen and the solar plexus. They are really the only places within us that life can become aware of itself, and you can't get much more mystical than that. In the circuit known as WA, and this is the macrocosmic mystical circuit. The 50 gate acts as the guardian of the future, and the 6 gate as the builder of the past. The channel 5027, the channel of preservation, preserved the original blueprints of our true nature. One of the mystical keynotes for the 50 is the enforcer, because it will never let go of who we truly are. The 27 is known as the Mother-Father, which again is a keynote with many levels to it. Perhaps the most obvious understanding that comes out of this is that it is our parents who hold the key to our true nature. If they can see who we are in the first 7 years of our life and not interfere with our nature, then the original blueprints are correctly encoded throughout our life. So, another information that Richard is sharing, it's about the copying of the DNA, like the left part of the body is connected with the true blueprint of who we are, and the right side of the body is connected with the copy, with the RNA. And when this copy of the information is done, the data are corrupted. And our parents actually transfer to us a false program, and this false program will be imprinted over um, the real program of who we truly are, and then we grow, becoming the embodiment of this false program. And what is this false program? This false program is holding the memories of the past, is holding the karma, the unresolved things which happened in the past. So, in order to come back to who we truly are, we need to go through a deconditioning process. And I will share something else with you. This wheel, this is the I Ching wheel. We can find here all the 64 gene keys or gates, and we can find the 7 years of deconditioning, the way Richard Rudd understood them and discovered them along this wheel. What I discovered in this wheel was the connection of the 4th year of deconditioning with the ring of the Illuminati. We see the 4th year when we are about to make the leap into who we truly are, to make a leap into a different level of consciousness, to awaken the connection with our true self, within ourselves. This year is called illumination or the rebirth. It is an year of initiation. And we have here Jinki 44 and Jinki 50. We also have all the Jinkis connected with the spleen. And preparing myself to share this information with you, I could see how the shadow of Jinki 18 is very powerful, how this fear of judgment was coming up very powerful. It was a self-judgment because I wanted to be more perfect than I am, and I wanted not to be judged by you listening to this. Then Jinki 48 is my evolution. So this shadow of inadequacy is coming out to telling me that, well, you are not good enough to doing this. You don't speak very well this language, so don't share it this way. And I could see these fears inside, and I could connect this with the tarot archetype connected with the ring of the Illuminati. The tarot archetype that my friend Celeste Godwin connected with the ring of the Illuminati is the archetype of the world tarot archetype. This archetype, it is the last one from the major tarot arcana, is the card number 21. So I connected this with the gift of authority, which is my life work. And I see it as a step in changing the authority of the cells of the body. These cells being the biological cells within the human body, or these cells being the human bodies that are living in the outside world. Something this ring is pointing about a changing in the authority. After all, the dilemma of this key, the dilemma of gene key 44, is the dilemma of hierarchy. So you can find different, how to say, descriptions, different explanation connected with the world tarot archetypes on the internet. And you can contemplate and find your own understanding. I want you for now just to maintain this world, world, and see in what kind of world you are living, in what kind of world I am living. Because if I'm afraid of you, I am giving my power to you. If I'm afraid of your judgment or the way you are seeing me, I am putting myself in a position of victimhood, like it is possible for you to hurt me in a way. So the world I'm living in is a fearful world. After all, if we look at the gene key 44 and gene key 50, to their programming partner, gene key 24 and gene key 3, they are connected with the ring of life and death. So I am living in this world where I'm afraid of death, I'm afraid of violence. If I'm looking on the wheel, there are all kinds of fears here. There is the fear of failure. There is the fear of death. There is the fear of not being good enough. There is the fear of judgment. And there is this, I'm being not connected with my intuition. So these are layers. These are steps I'm going through in order to step into a different world. If I'm looking on the first year of deconditioning, I can find here the gene key 3, the gene key 24, the gene key 27, the one who is making the channel of preservation with gene key 50. And this is the ring of life and death. So when I was born, what kind of memories my ancestor passed to me? They passed me the memories of the way they were killed, the way they died, the way death is a certainty. They pass to me the memories of their struggles, of their pain, of their illness. So all these memories are there in my DNA without me knowing about them. And I will share something with you, an experience I had this summer. Suddenly, because I don't know, maybe because of this, but I don't know. In our country, there were some violent things happened with some young girls, and suddenly a huge fear of possible aggression wake up inside myself. And in one evening, going home from my work, I have a portion from the subway to the place I live, where I walk, and maybe 15 minutes walk. And I was never fearful walking in that place. I always liked that place. It has green trees and very nice uh, road to walk, and I always liked to walk that way. But now a huge fear came up, and it was so powerful, and it was like every person I meet, every eye was looking to me. It was an aggressive eye. Every people I meet on the street was a possible aggressor. Everybody was my enemy. I was walking to a very fearful world where I was a possible victim and everybody else had power over me. I could be hurt, I could be killed, I could be, I don't know, violated by almost everybody. This was the feeling I had inside. In the same time, there was a higher awareness, and if the pull to not go out those days was very powerful. But I was, how to say, wise enough to take care of myself and not go into that pattern of becoming isolated, with becoming, I don't know, um, avoiding all the people or avoiding men. It was for the first time in my life when I could not go into the elevator with a man. But in a different day, I could walk in the elevator with another man. And I did a new business with an unknown man. And I walk in a new building and I was just me with him. And the fear was there, but I handled it with my awareness. And this feeling inside was very powerful for maybe about 1 month, and then started to slow down. And I felt like I was walking between two worlds. One was a very violent one, and the other one was more peaceful, but I was not stable in the peaceful one. Sometimes I felt I'm in the peaceful one, sometimes I was going in the fearful one. And one evening, recently, going home again in the evening, I felt so present within myself, so at peace inside myself. All the cells within my body was in a kind of ecstasy. and there was no trace of fear. There was no trace of concern or something. And I was walking on the same road, and at some point I asked myself, I am in the same world or not? Because it didn't look to be the same. On the outside, like the building and everything, look like it is the same world. But considering the way I was feeling, and actually I was feeling taller in my body too. I felt taller somehow. The possibility of being hurt, the possibility of violence didn't exist. Didn't exist. Even if I tried to find a thought or a memory or something, I could not find it. It was not there. So I could see the difference between the world. And I said to myself, I think I'm in a different world now. And this world, things that were possible in that old one are not possible. This is a safe world. I feel safe in this world. I feel safe to be myself. I feel safe to walk. I feel safe to smile to the people on the street. I feel safe if they are looking at me. I was walking in a different world. So for me, this ring of the Illuminati, it's bringing this question of the world we are living in. How is my world? How are my relationships? What kind of expectation I have from them? Richard Rudd is saying something at some point. If you look at the 50th hexagram, the cauldron, you can see a nice way of looking at hexagram structure in the I Ching. Line 1 represents the feet of the cauldron. Line 2, the body of the cauldron. Line 3 is the ingredients that go into the cauldron. Some work, others don't. Line 4 is the ladle that serves those friends who gather around the pot. Line 5 is the aroma of the cooking, and line 6 is the lid that controls everything. So, with what I serve my friends in my world, what I have inside to give them, I see them as friends, I see them like supporting me, or I'm fearful in connection with them. How I see the world, how I see people, what I'm expecting from them. This is speaking about the level of consciousness I'm living in, the reality inside myself. What kind of heritage my parents gave me. How they are still controlling me. You see, I grew up listening the authority of my parents. I grew up listening what my mother told me. I grew up being punished by my mother. I grew up seeing how my father was involved or not, how he was able to respond or not to the needs of my mother and family, how he was present or not. He could provide the safety or protection of the family or not. I was there to see a feminine very angry and very unhappy. So this was the models. My cells in the body learn this from my family, and this is the authority that I learn. And the voice of the parents become like internal gods, internal forces, unconscious, but they are becoming voices that are asking us to do things a different way, a specific way, and our body is obeying. The cells in our body, it's obeying. So we behave a certain way. We talk a certain way. We do things a certain way. We are aggressive or we are repressive. We are timid. We are different way because we learn this in our family. But this is not who we truly are. And when we pass in this deconditioning process, when we pass in this deconditioning process, the non-self, the false self, this fearful authority inside, and we project this fearful authority outside. So we create a world where we fear each other, where we obey each other, where we don't know how to decide for ourselves. We don't know what we really want. And when we step in this process of deconditioning, a kind of mutation starts to happen inside our body. So, like Richard Rudd is saying, all cellular rings have fixed patterns which can mutate from time to time. When a fixed ring does mutate, it is quite uneven because it can never return to the same level it was at before. This is an evolutionary key. If, for instance, we make a true inner leap in consciousness, we can never again return to our previous state, but remain at a higher state until our next leap. What is happening here? What kind of initiation is happening here? This is when we learn to surrender to a higher will, to surrender to the will of our heart. This is the surrendering of the ego to the will of consciousness within our heart. And it is connected with the cross of the vessel of love, the channel of initiation. And it is an initiation through judgment, inadequacy, fear of the unknown, failure. And when we pass through the Gene Key 50, the one that is holding the blueprint of who we truly are, a cellular shift is taking place. So Richard is calling this the immigrant, Gene Key 50.1, the immigrant, because we pass into the realm of our true self. But we are not yet able to stay in that realm forever. It is just the beginning. It is a process in which we start to learn how to surrender the will of the mind to a different kind of will. This is a process that is taking time. And in time, something is happening within the body because of all the biological processes within the body are coordinated by this false program. We don't know how our organ works. We don't know how our feet are walking, our hands are moving, and everything inside the body is working. All this false program is going within the cells, within the muscles, within the nerves, within the glands, and everything inside our body. So when we start to clean up and this false self to go out from the body, there are moments when the body doesn't know how to function anymore. It's like there are moments when it's like you don't know how to walk, you don't know how to talk, you don't know how to behave and who you are in front of people, what is true and what is not true. There are moments of huge confusion one is going on in those moments, but they are natural. It has to happen because a new authority it's being born, it's being birthed inside the body. And see, if I'm sharing a lot of things with you, and I hope not to confuse you, but so if we look at the world tarot archetype described by Wikipedia, this is the card. You see, here are the fourth elements: earth, fire, water. So, they are making a parallel with the figure of Christ and the four evangelists here. And these signs in the corner, which we can find them in this card also, they are a lion, a fire sign, the bull, a earth sign, the man, it's an air sign, the eagle, it's a water sign. So the world represents an ending to a cycle of life, a pause in life before the next big cycle, beginning with the full. The figure is male and female, above and below, suspended between the heavens and the earth. It is completeness. It is also said to represent cosmic consciousness, the potential of perfect union with the one power of the universe. It tells us full happiness it is to also give back to the world, sharing what we have learned or gained. You can go and read this by yourself. I wanted to give to you this information. And before ending this transmission, I want to share something else. I know this ring and these gene keys are a very complex one, and they are speaking about changes within ourselves and within the world and within the groups that will take place long time from now on. And many people can find different meanings and different understandings, and we will find out more information from now on. So I don't want to imply that this is everything. I just wanted to share some insights with you and some personal experiences too. Last year, I traveled for the first time to Peru, and I was participating in some ayahuasca ceremonies. These ceremonies were coordinated by a shaman. Sometimes his wife participated too, sometimes his brother, his nephew, and another young man. And for me, it was a kind of initiation in synarchy. And I understood that the world will change someday this way, and we will see the world in a different way, and people, we will see them in a different way. We will see like everything is an expression of the same being. What amazed me during this ceremony, it was the fact that I was able to remain aware most of the time. And besides the movement on the screen of my mind, I was able to see, somehow I was allowed to step into a different reality, into a different level of consciousness, into a different world. Because every time somebody was coming to me from those people holding the ceremony, the shaman was never moving from his place. He was coordinating the ceremony. He was asking somehow the people that was collaborating with him, that was working with him. He was giving them instruction to come to us, and different people were coming to me to take me maybe to the shaman, to say something to me, to bring me something. And every time somebody was coming to me, for me, the shaman was coming to me. Always I saw only the shaman. Every time one of them was speaking to me, I was hearing the same voice. And I don't think it was even the shaman. I don't know who it was, but it was the same face I could see on each one of them. No matter which one of them was coming to me, they all had the same face, and they all had the same voice. Like the voice I was hearing during the ceremony, the shaman was speaking with that voice. But during the day, the shaman didn't have the face I was seeing during the ceremony, but I was seeing all of them with the same face and with the same voice. And I knew they are working from a unified consciousness. They look like they are 5 or 6 people, but actually they are one unified being, and the higher being is working through them. And this for me was a kind of initiation into synarchy. I was allowed to see and understand, even if I was not part of the group or this synarchy. I was allowed to witness it, to understand it, and to see this kind of world. It exists, and there are people that are functioning this way. And one day, many other people will function this way. And when we start to function this way and see that we are the same, we will not to harm one another. This possibility will not exist anymore into that reality.